Good morning, it's good to see you all and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm actually going to explain our experience in buying a villa, a long lease villa in Sanur, and then selling a long lease villa in Sanur, or what was left of the long lease. Also too, let's talk about our experiences, the good and the bad of dealing with expats in Bali and Sanur. Keep watching.
From valley shores to Thai sunrises, Vita nights under glowing skies. Roman Richard with his camera wide, showing beaches and countrysides, taking us on the ride, showing sights for all to see. From budget beds to resorts so grand, he's seen it all across the land. Street food sizzling in his hand, a taste of life so unplanned.
So if you're new to the channel, welcome and thank you for joining. For people that have been following us all the way through, you probably have seen all our videos on when we moved to Bali and Sanur and how we first started. So it was quite a few years ago now, probably 3 years ago, something like that, roundabouts. We moved to Sanur and we actually bought a 12-month lease in some apartments up there at Sanur Harbour. The apartments were beautiful, well built, fantastic. Couple of things that we found, the reason why we did leave that apartment was there was a lot of kids that were screaming, and they'll be up at 8 o'clock in the morning and screaming and yelling out in the pool area because it was a communal pool. So that made it a bit difficult. You never could really relax. And then when you wanted to swim in the pool, you'd have kids jumping in the pool around you and splashing around, and being an old person like myself, we like to have our bit of privacy. And back then, the Sanur Harbour didn't really have much infrastructure in regards to places to eat and things like that. A few local rooms, but yeah, not much at all. But since then, it's been developed and it looks fantastic. I think Grant from Southern Cross Go, check his channel out, he's great. I think he did a video showing all the new infrastructure there at Sanur Harbour. So yeah, have a look at that. I'm pretty sure it was him. Yeah, so we ended up deciding to buy the 24-year lease there in the complex that we had there at in Sanur there. We sort of, look, we made the decision ourselves, but the people we were sort of associating with sort of did help sort of make that decision for us. In hindsight, we should have done a bit more research before we did go ahead and buy there. And I think our experience would have been a whole hell of a lot better if we had bought somewhere else. Yeah, look, if you're looking at buying a property there in Sanur, have a think about it, because complexes can be a bit difficult with so many people living in that area. Standalone villa is probably the way to go if we're ever going to do it again. Yeah, so we were in Anne, we had a look at a few different places, a few different villas, and we decided to go ahead with this one. So what happens is when you buy a villa over there, the Balinese do like payment up front, which is normal anyway, because if you buy here in Australia, you have the same thing, you pay up front. So then you go to the thing called a notary, which is like a solicitor or a lawyer here in Australia or in Western countries. And with that notary, they do due diligence. So you'll get what we call an acta, and the acta will have all the particulars on there, the developer, who they bought the property from, their name, all their legal information. Your name will be on it. Also too, at the end, you'll have a stamp, which is a proper stamp, and it's all signed and stuff like that. And that acta is like a deed which you hold. Now remember, with leasehold, you don't own the property or the land. What will happen is after that lease, you give it back and to the developer, or you may be able to negotiate with the landowner if you can extend. So you're not going to negotiate with the developer, it's the landowner you negotiate with. But the people that we've all spoken to have never been in that situation where they've gone to the landowner to renegotiate for more time, because most of these leases are 20, 30 years. So they're still well in that period of that initial lease. So it'd be interesting to know. So if anyone knows that they've gone through the situation of negotiating with their landlord to extend the lease, put in the comment section below, because I just don't know if that's happened and what the situation has been. So anyway, so that's what happened. So we ended up moving in, and we stayed there for 10 months, 12 months, I think it was. And then we ended up travelling elsewhere. We had issues, as you're all aware. Went from there. And then we ended up leasing it out to some friends of ours. Now, when you lease, you must pay tax. That's really important. So if you're going to lease something out, always put into consideration you've got to pay that tax on that as well too. Normally your notary will sort all that out, which ours did, which is great. Prices of leases. So if you're going to lease something for 12 months, everything's overpriced at the moment, and we bought at the peak, so we paid top dollar for our long lease. Things should be going down now because a lot of people are selling their long leases or releasing for longer term because the legislation and rules have changed now with Airbnb. So they're all trying to dump their properties, and you'll see on the Facebook pages there's thousands of villas for sale, thousands of them. And that's because they're all trying to get out, you see. Now a lease, some I'm seeing for 35, 40,000 a year, that's a joke. You shouldn't be paying that. On the beach side of the bypass, for a 2-bedroom, honestly, you shouldn't be paying any more than between 20 and 25,000 for a 2, maybe 3-bedroom. You may pay a little bit extra for a 3-bedroom. Anything above that, you're overpaying. On the west side, look, a decent thing, probably around about 15 to 22, I would think is a decent price nowadays from what I'm seeing on the internet, etc. So don't overpay for it. If you're going to go into a long lease, don't do what we did. Don't buy a 23-year lease. We were stupid. As I said, we made the decision, but we sort of were, I can't say talked into it by people. I would say they did have a fair bit of involvement in it. But in the end, we made that decision, not them. I would buy something if I was ever going to do it again, which we never will, definitely not in Bali. I'd buy something for, if you're going to go a long lease, for 10 years and under. Live in it for a few years, and then rent it out. You can rent it out for 12 months. There's no problems at all. And you get your 25,000 AUD for it. But of course, and then you've got to pay commissions and things like that to the agent as well too. So that's buying. When you do buy, make sure it's got an SLF. So what happens is when they build property, they have I think it's called a PBG permit, and that's for the initial build. When they then develop, you should have an SLF. Now, people ask for an SLF when they do buy a villa because they may want to then Airbnb it. And now that's a rabbit hole, that one. We never did that, but they've got to get a Pondok Vista. I'm not full on for all the information and the criteria for all that because we never went that way and things have changed a little bit. So if you ever want to sell your villa, your long lease villa, get an SLF. Now, our complex, we didn't know. We should have been told, but we never did. There was no SLF on our villa. About 90% of the villas there in our complex don't have it, as far as we've been told. That cost us 6,000 AUD. Yeah, I know, a lot of bloody money. But we needed that to sell, okay? So if you're going to buy a long lease villa or anything like that in Bali, just have a bit of a look. And it should be done during the due diligence, and it wasn't done with ours to start off with, and we had no idea, which was a shame. So yes, make sure it's got an SLF. And yeah, that's sort of pretty much about a rundown on purchasing. Have a look around. There's so much around at the moment. It's just overstocked. You'll go with your agents. Let's talk about agents in a few minutes. We'll go with agents, and you just go around. They'll meet you at the villas and have a look through. And you don't really negotiate with the agent. You negotiate with the buyer. But yeah, let's talk about agents. Agents in Bali. Now, totally different to, for example, Australia, from where we're from. Agents in Bali, they get 5%. That's right, 5%. You can try and negotiate, but most of them want 5%. In Australia, it's 3%. You can negotiate. You'll get some for maybe 2.5%. Now, agents in Bali, some do have agencies. Most of them are what we call freelancers. So they're people that have already got a job and they're trying to make a bit of money on the side. Good on them. But look, our experience with agents, some are good, some are bad. If you're ever going to sell something, try to get one that, I know you're buying in a foreign country, etc., but try to get one that understands English really well, because trying to translate things and get things to advertise stuff can be a nightmare for you. What happens too is there's no vetting. So John and Jill is there for a holiday in Bali and they say, oh, maybe in the future I'd like to buy a villa. The future could be 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So they go and see these so-called agents. And what happens is there's no vetting. So the agent will then arrange for these people to come through, and then the feedback is, oh, maybe in the future we'll look at buying it, but not now. So in Australia, you sort of get vetted, and people that go to agents, most of them, I will say, are serious buyers. In Bali, unfortunately, a lot of buyers are tie kickers, and it is a waste of time. And it's a waste of time for the agents too, the poor souls. They're travelling around, driving around everywhere, or riding around everywhere, showing all these people as properties, but the people really just tie kicking. They're just dreaming, that they want to buy property for the future if they retire. So that's one thing. But let's get back to the agents themselves. Most of them are freelancers. So if they find out that you're trying to sell your villa, what they'll do is they'll just message you non-stop. And a lot of them will actually just rip off your photos and advertise without your consent, which I can't believe that happens, but it does. And a lot of them just put it on Facebook. So if you're looking for property, Facebook pages is the best way to go. Now 5%, like your average wage in Australian dollars for Balinese people in Indonesia is around, I think it's around 2,500 to probably 4,500 AUD a year. Now, the people that are selling the villas over there, the agents, they get 5%. So if, for example, you sell your villa for 200,000, that's 10,000 AUD. That's almost twice 2 years' salary from. So that's why a lot of them do it. And I can understand, because they're not earning a lot each year. So if they were to make a sale just for freelancing and just be able to make a sale like that, that's a lot of money for them. And good on them. And as I said, it helps them with their lives, it helps with their family, etc. But yeah, just agents, try to maybe talk to people that you know and get recommendations, because as I said, we had some issues. It was banging our head up against the wall, unfortunately. There were some great ones, but oh my God, some ones, yeah. Anyway, all right, so that's agents. So yeah, do your research on your agents. Let's talk about selling. So selling the villa, that was a nightmare in itself. God, I tell you. Again, a lot of people coming through that are tie kickers. Trying to find a proper buyer was just incredible. The poor agents are wasted time by these people that are intending to retire, but who knows when. So that was a very difficult thing. In the end, we did get a buyer. It took some time. We had to drop the price a lot. Like, I'm going to be honest, guys, we lost a shitload of money. We bought at the height and sold it pretty much the low, and it's just oversaturated with villas in Bali there at the moment. So we took a loss on that. So at least down the track, we've got no capital gains here with the Australian government, because the Australian government and the Indonesian government do have a treaty amongst themselves. So you've got to be careful of that. Now, tax. Okay, because we're not a resident that pays tax in Indonesia, 20% tax. 20% tax you must pay, and that has to be paid on the day of signing. So you can't turn around. Now, I've heard people that haven't paid the tax. I know people haven't paid the tax, and I just don't know how they got away with it. But we pay the 20% tax because we don't want it to come back and bite us in Australia. And if you do the tax residence, which is your 10%, you've got to sign documents and stuff like that. Be careful, because if you want to get the pension down the track and things like that, you're now a tax resident of Indonesia. Implications there, mate, I tell you, be careful of that. So for us, paying the 20% tax was the way to go. Then there's no implications down the track because the Australian government and the Indonesian government has said they have that treaty, so you've got to be careful of that there. But yeah, look, we went over there thinking, yeah, this is going to be wonderful. And down the track, oh, if you ever sell it, you're going to make money. Yeah, no, mate, doesn't happen. Yeah, bad decision we made. We lost a load of money on that one. But we need to get out. Not needed, we wanted to get out. And then also too, when we sold our place in Cardwell, we made some good money. And then we sold that, so we're actually able to buy here where we are now. So we've got a lovely house brick home here now. So that sort of helped us to get back into the real estate market here in Australia. But as I said, just be wary that it's 20% tax if you do sell over there, and you will have to pay it. I don't know how people get away with not paying it, and eventually they might get caught. I don't know. They'll probably never be able to get back into Indonesia because you might be flagged. But yeah, 20% tax. But yeah, that's what happened with our experience. So this is our experience in buying, working with agents and selling property there in Bali, in Sanur and Bali. As I said, my opinion, I would never buy in a complex. Too many personalities in a complex. I would buy a standalone villa somewhere. And what happens is when they build, I don't know if you realise, in Australia have damp courses. They don't have damp courses there. So after 2 or 3 years, all the mould comes up the wall. And you'll see all they do is paint over the top. So in 5 or 10 years' time, you really got to renovate your villa and spend some money on it. Look, all your construction people and all your pricing over there for people to fix things and repaint is quite cheap compared to Australia, but you need to take that in consideration as well too. The quality of work, as you would understand, because they don't really have tradies over there. It's just, anyone can do it and they get taught and shown and they become a bricklayer, they become an electrician. Well, they might be a bricklayer and an electrician and a painter, jack of all trades apparently. So just to keep that in mind if you're buying over there, that you probably will have to do a fair bit of renovations even after a 3-year period of owning that villa. Okay, let's talk about expats. Expats. So I'm not going to go too in depth with this. All I'm going to say is some really, really nice expats and there's some arseholes. That's all I'm going to say. We've met some beautiful people at expats, beautiful people, and then we met some not so nice people. Do your research before, if you're going to live over there permanently, do your research of groups and people really before you start to really get involved in and become a cliquey group. Sit back, like we got friends over there and they sit back a lot now and just watch, they don't get involved, and that's the way to go. There's some lovely people, Just be wary of who you associate with. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm not going to go too in depth on that. I did a video a while ago which I got a lot of backlash from, and I was really honest about that. In the end, I did take some sections out because I was probably brutally honest and upset a lot of people. Got to laugh at some people. Social media is great, isn't it? People can sit back behind a keyboard and have a whinge and have a bitch and be an arsehole, but won't say it straight to your face. That's how it works, and that's how YouTube works. And when you take on YouTube, that's what happens. When you take on social media, whether you've got a Facebook group or TikTok or whatever it is, that's what happens. You're going to get the trolls. Yeah, I've got to laugh about that. That was funny, really, really funny. And also I want to say, when I did that video, I had another YouTube couple that only are tourists, and back then, they only come and go. They put a video up on me pretty much having a go at me. Now, I spoke about potholes, burning in backyards, footpaths being terrible, and back then, the footpath wasn't done down that main road, Tamblingan, and it was full of potholes. They showed a snippet of a couple of areas that are for tourists, which were always in good condition, not the back streets that I was talking about, trying to say, well, what I was saying was wrong. But also too, They didn't go down the back streets. They went in the afternoon at night time and show all the residents and all the infrastructure that was going on, and then them just burning all the plastic, all the workers burning the plastic and having all the smoke coming through people's places. They wouldn't know that because they're tourists. So I haven't said anything about that over the years, but I thought on this video I'll say that, you guys, what you did, I thought was pretty crap, and you didn't even really respond with the correct stuff. You just picked pieces of what you wanted to put in tourist area, not areas where people live, because you've got to remember you were tourists, you don't live there, so you never had that experience of living there. Put that on there and try to refute what I was saying. So yeah, just be wary. If you're going to put something on YouTube and you're going to refute or rebuttal what people are saying on there, make sure you put down the correct evidence and don't just pick and choose what you want to tailor to look like, okay? Have a think about that, guys. And we did meet you once and I thought you were really, really nice, but then when you put that video up, I was like, okay, there you go. Anyway, so this has been our experience. Other people may have better experiences. Gives you a bit of information. I'm not a legal person. Things change all the time. So if you're looking at buying and selling, you may need to do a bit more research and look into it a little bit more in depth. This is just a video of our experience and some bits and pieces. I hope it was informative for you all. As I said, I'll just keep doing the occasional video. Karen's no longer involved in the YouTube. She doesn't really want to be part of it because what happened in there in Sanur with people. And I totally understand. I just like getting on the thing and on the videos and having a bit of a chat to you all. That's why I do it. All right, guys, take it easy and remember, live life to the fullest, and we'll see you on the next video. See yous. Bye.